Ma'am, could you let me, this is Aparna, could you let me share the screen, please? Padmaja, ma'am. Meenal, are you the co-host?
No, not yet.
Then we have 7, 8 more minutes. Ma'am, let me call ma'am.
वीडियो तो नहीं दिख रहा।
Good morning, Deepti ji.
Good morning, Padmaja.
Anything that you want to tell me now?
What? I don't think so. There's anything that I have to share.
Share
Whatever.
screening, they're going to give you the permission once your talk starts if you want to share screen.
Yes, Malavika is here, so she'll help me out with all that. Huh?
Then the other thing is, like yesterday, Meenal will spotlight me and you, and then we will again say 1 or 2 lines to welcome people.
Okay. ठीक है.
Meenal, do you know how to spotlight 2 people at a time?
Yes. 1 second.
If Malavika is available, Deepthi madam, we could just ask her this question. How to spotlight two people at the same time?
Yeah, she's here with me only. She's here with me.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want, I can do it. The
Yeah, just
Spotlight.
spotlight two people. How to do it? If you can let
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not the host right now.
let me know. I'm one of the co-hosts.
Yeah, okay.
So
So there would be a blue color button in on the right corner of every screen. So like
right,
it's
right,
Trikalaa
right.
Gurukulam and Aatmalaya Trust. There would be an option spotlight for everyone.
Okay. But I just get it for one person. If
No,
I
no.
do that,
Then for the next person, you can do
So
add.
anybody else has to be made co-host?
add pin, right? Just a minute, ma'am. Just add pin to every
Add
spotlight.
symbol.
Hello.
Add spotlight.
Sorry?
Add spotlight. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, do I have
Hello.
to add anybody, Minal, as co-host again?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you can make this account, Deepthi Bhalla account, the co-host. I do the spotlighting. If
Should I
Aparna
make
is not
Deepthi
there.
Right.
Balla
Yes. Yes.
also co-host?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll just look for that now here.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. Hello.
We'll start admitting in after about 5 minutes, and then
No, I have your bio data, so I will be reading that out, and then we can spotlight you. And if you
start letting in people, girls? It's past 10:30. Are you letting in people? Start.
Yes, ma'am, I am. Gurubhyo Namaha. My namaskarams and a warm welcome to all of you. CHIDAAKAASHAM is a 2-day international webinar organized by Trikalaa Gurukulam Delhi and Aatmalaya Academy, Bengaluru. This webinar features eminent artists, scholars, and academicians from Indian institutions and universities abroad who would be enlightening us with their talks and performances on a wide range of topics that will focus on rare metric patterns, rhythmic combinations in various genres of music and dance, both classical and folk, pan-Indian, Western music, Indian philosophy, and rituals. This two-day webinar is organized jointly by Trikalaa Gurukulam, Delhi and Aatmalaya Academy, Bengaluru. Trikalaa Gurukulam, Delhi, established by Padma Shri Dr. Leela Omcheri, is a center for training and research in Indian music, dance, and Sopana Sangeetam of Kerala. A non-profit organization, this center has been imparting training in Carnatic classical music, Mohiniyattam, and Sopana Sangeetam for more than 2 decades under the able guidance of gurus like Padma Shri Leela Omcheri and Dr. Deepti Bhalla. With over 3 decades of professional experience in the field, Dr. Padmaja Suresh heads the Atmalaya Academy of Art and Culture, Bengaluru. Atmalaya offers Bharatanatyam and music classes and has put in consistent effort since 2004 with a path-breaking scheme, Kala Chaitanya, for lesser privileged children. Atmalaya is known for its spiritual and philosophical teachings of Indian arts and culture through regular classes, lectures, demonstrations, and frequent artistic production. I would now like to request Professor Dr. Deepti Omcheri Bhalla and Dr. Padmaja Suresh to welcome the scholars, artists, and all the art enthusiasts gathered today for this webinar.
Namaste to all of you, and welcome once again to the second day of the international webinar, CHIDAAKAASHAM. Yesterday's sessions were very well received and very well presented, and completely satisfied both the scholars and artists who presented as well as those who heard from them. And today also we hope and we are sure that the sessions that will feature several artists, academicians and scholars with their own knowledge about their art form will also greatly benefit those who will be listening to this two-day webinar. And I look forward to all of you joining us to the end of the second day and the end of this festival. Namaste.
Satgurave Namaha. A warm welcome once again for the second day. Yesterday we heard so many profound terms like nada, gati, tala, raga, dhwani. So obviously it's because of that that we're once again looking forward to connect. And the unique part is all our scholar presenters have been performers and they're all speaking out of their personal anubhava, which is what makes it special. A great heartfelt thanks, I should say, or blessings to 4 students of Trikalaa Gurukulam and Aatmalaya Academy. Some of them are doing night duty for the sake of this webinar. That is, yesterday we had Malavika Ajikumar and Rehana Venu, who very efficiently managed the show. And today it is Minal Shah and Aparna Dodumulur, both from Trikalaa and from Aatmalaya. Namaskaram.
Thank you. We now move on to our first presentation. We begin today's program with Moods and Expressions in the Rhythms and Melodies of Kerala by Dr. Deepti. Dr. Deepti is a rare combination of a singer, dancer, teacher, researcher, and scholar. A gold medalist from University of Delhi in Carnatic music, she is a senior professor in the Department of Music, Delhi University, and currently the dean. Over the last 2 decades, along with the able support of her mother, Padma Shri Dr. Leela Omcheri, an eminent musicologist, she has been doing interns research on the traditional music of Kerala. The Sangeet Natak Academy has recorded a special documentary of her research choreographies. Dr. Dipti has undertaken research projects in music and dance with grant from Ministry of Culture and the Central Sangeet Natak Academy, and also served as reviewer for projects. She received a special research production grant from Ministry of Culture during Swarna Samaro, 50 years of Indian independence celebrations. For her outstanding contribution, she has been awarded the Central Sangeet Natak Academy Puraskar, the Kerala Sangeet Natak Academy Award as well. She has contributed through music in a major multimedia project, Geeta Govindam, produced by IGNCA Delhi and Xerox USA. She has been the editor and writer for Swarabharati Journal, National Journal on Music and Dance, published by Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Delhi Kendra, covering important Sanskrit treatises. A profile webcast of her was specially featured in The Artist at Work, prestigious BBC Hindi channel. We would now request Dr. Deepti to present.
Can you please put Dr. Deepti on spotlight, please?
Yes, ma'am. You're on mute.
What we heard was a Kuttipadi Seva, Dhyani, sung by the eminent Kuttipadi Sevakar, Chembumpuram Krishnangutti, along with his disciple, Ambalapura Vijay Kumar. Bhava and Tala find a very prominent place in the performative traditions of Kerala. The traditional music of Kerala, Sopana Sangeetam, is a dramatic music with religious fervor, with emphasis only on those musical excellences that enhance the bhava. It is this bhava that reigns supreme in all performative Indian traditions. The glorification of deities, ragas, talas can be observed in the dhyanis or the dhyana shlokas rendered through Kuttipadi Seva temple service offered in the temples of Kerala. By the Mara, the temple drummer, who sings keeping the tala on the idakya. The dhyana shlokas is considered a meditative process by the Kuttipadi Sevakar to invoke the deity, the rituals, ragas, and even the talas must adhere to time. I would, since this is mainly concerning the rhythms and expressions and also melodies, which is my topic today, moods and expressions of rhythms in performing arts of Kerala, I would just like to demonstrate the syllables of a very common and popular tala, Tripata Tala, which has 7 beats and which you find also in Carnatic music. But of course, the manner of expression, the mode of expression varies. Now, this Tripura Tala, as is rendered in Kuttipadi Edakyakura, as is rendered in the stage presentations of Kerala, theatre presentations, and as is rendered in the folk tradition, varies. So I'll just recite to show how the sound that emanates from these different instruments, the nada, which we had a very beautiful session yesterday, how according to the nada that comes out of every instrument, the syllables are all modified, which we call as the white tali. So the first is the Adakyakuda. The mode of pattern of rendering is tay, dit tay, dit tay, dit tay. And of course, we can improvise improvise, innovate. All this I have tried to adopt in my choreographies. The second Triputatala, which is generally played on the Maddalam, ideally suited for stage performances like Kathakali and even Mohiniyattam. The Triputatala, there's a very beautiful Vaitari of in Triputatala. Deem, dikkinna deem, dikkinna kidatakatagana deem, dikkinna deem, dikkinna kidatakatagana, takkitatakatagana deem, takkitatakatagana deem, dikkinna deem, dikkinna deem, dikkinna tadrimita dikkidagadim, takanadim, 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 kinadim, kinadim, kinad, tadim, 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 deem, dikkinna deem, dikkinna. And that's how it goes, and one can improvise on that. The third Vaitari, which of course, I'm not presenting the video because of paucity of time, but I've incorporated that is from a Mailpili Thukam Arjuna Nrityam, which was recorded for me by the veteran Arjuna Nrityam performer, late Kurichi Kumaran Nairashan. And this is basically a chanda, which starts with a Panchari 6/6, then goes on to the 7 beats Tripatatalam. But the manner in which the expression is somewhat like the Chaputala of Carnatic music. Tom, tatin daka tom, tatin daka taka 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 diturakai taka deritum tom tarikita taka doritum dakkira kota tarikita ranjekum tom tarikita taka dattatum daginangi, dittatum diginangi, tadattatum daginangi, dittatum tongikum tirakota tarikita takku dekku takkita takadikadikdam. So, of course, when I use it for Mohiniyattam, I cannot exactly per se adopt these syllables because this is a little more rustic. The Arjuna Nrityam is very rustic. But the beauty of the chanda is what has actually attracted me, and I've tried to incorporate that into Mohiniyattam. Having said that, I'd like to now just briefly point out the distinctive features of the Kerala music and talas. The soft sounding of tala or a beat to a raga lapna, as found in Kottipadi Seva, Kathakali, even in Mohiniyattam, enhances the emotive appeal of singing. Now, this is there even mentioned in the Sangeeta Ratnakara. The existence of Tauratrika, a concept of Geetam, Vadyam, Nrityam, continues to exist in the folk arts like Tullal and Padeni in Kerala. The Chandobaddha Ridi, with Shashabda and Nishabda Kriya, sounded, unsounded mode of expression, playing the thala, is found very much adopted in the Kerala traditional art forms, and where the duration of both sounded and unsounded remain the same. The gradual ascent in the tempo from the slowest to the highest is also a very distinctive feature which is found in the Kerala music, especially the temple tradition. And very similar to this is not exactly like the Madhya, Vilamba, Madhya and Dhruta of Laya concept in Carnatic music, but is somewhat similar to the Hindustani mode of accentuation in the rhythmic pattern. The swaras and ragas suitable for rasa and bhava depiction are prescribed for abhinaya in Kerala traditional theatre art forms. Like for instance, you have Padi Raga for Shringara Nayakas, who are essentially asuras in Kathakali. Then you have Neelambari Karuna, which of course, these are ragas adopted in all the South Indian dance forms, also expressing the viraha. Then you have the Madhyamavati Raga, which is chosen for Vichara Padams. And apart from that, you have equal importance is given to Tala and Laya for Rasabhinaya. For instance, in Kudiyattam, there are certain rules that only this particular Tala has to be adopted when expressing this particular bhava. Like Eka Tala has to be adopted when expressing Adbhuta and Dhruva Tala for Adbhuta Bhayanaka, and so on and so forth. Now, and Mohiniyattam also. The Kamodari Raga is for Shringara also when it comes to Vilambakala. And the same Kamodari Raga, when it comes to Madhyamakala, it is adopted for Veera Rasa, then a Madhyamakala is adopted. So these are certain things that found in Kerala art forms, performative traditions. It becomes very clear that Laya and Raga both are very important for Rasa Vaibhidhya. I will just briefly show a small clipping of, since we were talking about Nada and its manifestations, and how the subtleties of Nadas, the amplification, the intensity, the frequency, everything contributes, the timbre, the tone, everything contributes to the varied expressions, the myriad of emotions and expressions that we experience, both the performer and the hearer. This, a small little piece I'm trying to show, wherein the three levels of the body, the Adi, which is the bottom, the near the feet, the Madhya, the center, and the Tara, which goes above the head. This is connected to the three different sounds of the nature. The Adi is connected to the surging sounds of the ocean, the thunder, the kettle drum, and the jarjara. The intermediate stage of sounds is connected to the Mardala, Shankha Ghanta, Kahala, and Antya, the last sound, the subtlest sound, is connected to the Kinkini Vamshaveena Brahmara. And I have, in this, I've also included the Tripata Thala, which I just presented, Idakya Kura, and the Chempada Maddalam. Malavika, can you just show?
श्रूयते प्रथमाभ्यासेनादो नानाविधो महः ततोऽभ्यासे वर्धमाने श्रूयते सूक्ष्म 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 सूक्ष्मकः आदौ जलधि जीमूत आदौ जलधि जीमूत 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 फेरी जर्जर संभव तत्तीन किट तक तरी किट किट धूम तत्तीन किट तक तरी किट किट तत्तीन किट तक तरी किट किट धूम तत्तीन किट तक तरी किट किट तीन किट तक तरी किट किट तरी किट किट धूम तरी किट किट धूम तरी किट किट धूम तरी किट किट तरी किट तरी किट तरी किट तरी किट तरी किट തരികിട തരികിട കുതി കുതക്കുത്തേൻ തക്കിട തക കുതി കുതക്കുത്തേൻ മധ്യേ മാർദാല മാർദാല शंखोत्या खंडा काहले जास्तधा अंदे तो किंगिणी 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 वंश वंश वीणा वीणा भ्रमर वीणा भ्रमर निस्वनाः इति नानाविधा 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 नादाः श्रूयन्ते देह मध्यग देह मध्यग देह मध्यग
The period of Chera Empire considered, switch off that mic, mute. The period of the second Chera Empire, which is comes around 11th, 12th century, is considered to be the most important period, a golden age, in fact, for the Sanskrit in Kerala. King Kulashekara himself being a dramatist, he presented plays that were based on the principle of Dhvani. Because according to him, intelligent spectator was not just merely satisfied with just a mere peripheral word meaning presentation, but he wanted something much more deeper that went into the meaning of a word. And that interpretation gave ample scope for the actor on the stage to present, to recapitulate, in fact, to recapitulate past incidences and past characters and different characters, which the roles that he could adopt, which gave him enough opportunity to expand and improvise and innovate. So this, what we call as the lot of Angika, Satvika, and Netra Abhinaya in the Kerala traditional art forms, which of course Mohiniyattam has greatly imbibed from. Now, I would just briefly present a small little 2.5 minute clipping of mine, which expresses the bhava and also the raga, which has been very beautifully molded into the Guru Champatalam. Actually, if you take the chanda, if you take the rhythmic structure, it can be very easily molded into a Champatalam or Aditalam. But the reason I have gone beyond that Aditalam and got into the Guru Champatalam is because that whole Shuruti ragam comes out so beautifully in that. Just a small little clipping. And I'll end with that.
She adores the art of Mohiniyattam in each and every footstep. Deepthi always tries to present her art by giving it a touch of the Lasya Bhava, which is a vital constituent of architecture, painting, and poetic grandeur of Kerala. Mohiniyattam is a unique classical dance form of Kerala. It has become synonymous with the art and culture of Kerala and flourished under the Maharajas of the state of Travancore. Though born and brought up in Delhi, Deepthi stayed in contact with Malayalam, the language of Kerala.
With this, I come to the end because of the paucity of time. I'm sorry I have not been able to do justice to my explanations, but I'm sure whatever little I wanted to express I've been able to do justice to at least a portion of that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was very informative. We now will have Dr. Padmaja Suresh, assisted by Aparna Dodamalur, who will present on Bharatanatyam and metaphysical aspects of sound. Dr. Padmaja is an acclaimed artist of Bharatanatyam, teacher and researcher. Dr. Padmaja has been trained by prominent gurus, her mentor being Guru K. Kalyana Sundaram and Father Sri Chakyar Rajan. She holds several degrees and a doctorate in philosophy and dance from Mysore University and has performed at major dance festivals extensively at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the Raj Bhavans, and has been delegated by RCCR. Her institution Aatmalaya has a wing Kala Chaitanya for propagating arts for lesser privileged children. Dr. Padmaja serves as an external examiner of doctoral and master's theses at some institutions. She has been a module contributor to dance, higher education of MHRD. Her books on Tantra and Natya have been well appreciated. Dr. Padmaja has been a dance columnist, metaphysics in Natya, and her research papers have been published widely. She has also presented top performances at World Sanskrit conferences and Parliament of World Religions and has given concerts, lectures, and workshops at over 32 nations. Dr. Padmaja has also directed and presented a popular TV serial Natya Tantra. She was in the panel of Natyakala and Sangeet Natak Academy Natya Shastra Conferences 2019 at Chennai. Her titles include Nartana Nipuna, Bharata Kala Shrestha, Karamveer Chakra, and Rex Global Fellow, Sri Subramaya Trust Award, and others. I would now like Dr. Padmaja to present, please.
Satguruve Namaha. We're starting with an offering to Lord Ganesha. Aparna, are you ready? We have to spotlight the performer, please.
प्रभु गणपते 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 आदिमूल गणनाथ गजानन आदिमूल गणनाथ गजानन ह्रीं श्रीं क्लीं क्लौं सौगं मूलाधार गणपते मूलाधार गणपते मूलाधार गणपते.
Can you please make my screen on spotlight and I can screen share thereafter? Namaskarams to one and all here. And Dr. Deepti gave a power-packed presentation and a wonderful start for the day. And it's so nice to connect to the roots of Kerala, the founder of Trikalaa being Padma Shri Leela Macheri, and that of Aatmalaya being Sri Chakyar Kootharajan. And Deepti ji will be happy to know that from a maternal side, Maddalam Sri Venkateswara Swami happens to be a great-grandfather. So Kerala having been established, we now widen to the whole nation and our international audience. So Nada is what has brought us back together, connecting despite all the lockdown and other hassles that we're all going through last so many months. We're all together because of this aspiration to connect to Nada. So I shall now start this presentation with screen sharing that just give me a moment. Will I not be able to screen share Anchor if that is not appearing on my screen here? I'm not able to see anything except iPhone, whiteboard, and screen out here. So will I have to get into my PowerPoint once again and then come back to the meeting? Is that so?
No, ma'am, you can, this is
there.
Aparna, you could open the PowerPoint. Is it open already?
No, I'm not able to minimize this because the recording is on.
Okay.
Can you just try this on 1 minute? I'm not able
You
to.
can't see the share screen.
That is there, but the PowerPoint is not to be located.
It's not on.
Okay, okay.
Which one?
I'll tell you where it is. It's right here. This is the one. Okay. Put it on slideshow.
any sound in it?
No, no. Tiny. Are you able to see it? Yeah. Is it seen by everyone? Anchor? Is it
Yes,
seen?
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the topic is Bharatanatyam choreography on metaphysical aspects of sound. The very margam of Bharatanatyam itself, I'm sure all the practitioners would have experienced, and also the Rasikas, is it has been given in such a beautiful conventional mode that one is able to tap from the gross directly into the subtle through the performance and touch that deepest vibratory mode through the central piece of the Varnam itself. And from that, one is able to come back to the gross. So there is this cycle of dissolution from the heard, the noise, the outer voice to the inner voice, and returning back to the creation where one is again tapping on the grossest level. So the Margam gives us ample scope. Now, unlike a music performance where directly you are into that level with the sound, here, since the body is in action, it the process goes differently. So one starts like an opening number with the cholkattu, the minimal seed syllables being taken. And it's like a mystic diagram where you are entering through the bhupura level, and then the next level with the swara coming in, and then the shabdam, the voice, the word then becomes a sentence, a poem, a song, and then widened into the padavarnam. And after that, again, there is a descent where you, in the Padavarnam, of course, you are touching right to the root of the Shiva Shakti union, which I'll talk about later. Now, besides the Margam, there are several performances that we're all doing, several productions on various themes that have been taken as the artists evolved over the years. Now, ever since I was fortunate to be able to complete my PhD, it has been an effort to do performances based basically on this topic of how do you again touch to that root. Because so many dynamics have changed over the years that there are times when we need to connect back to that, and it is not difficult to give that same translate that in our performance and also make the audiences go in tune with you, which was the earliest intention of these art forms. So then there are three levels: the samanya, the outermost, the general level where the art is performed, and there are several songs that we take to have that spectacle presented. The guhya level where the sahitya gives us scope to go to the next level, and of course the samadhi level, which is the highest, the goal of any of these upasanas. But samadhi to speak of is impossible. It is something that one needs to experience, and what we can offer as a humble upasana is what takes even the people around in that ambience feel one with that level of samadhi. Most important is the sublimation for this to happen. Mrityu and Niyati, among all other deities, are posited on the Sanskrit theatre. I feel that it is for us to go through the process of Mrityu to be able to connect back to this sound element through our Nada Yoga or Natya Yoga. And the outcome of it is that you're able to obliterate the effects of even destiny. So that is for the artist and for the connoisseur, who the erudite audience, the absence of conditioned mind. Now, only if these two are present, the optimum is possible for the aesthetic experience. And the whole process, having evolved through thousands of years from the philosophy of Trika, is the Dartaka Atma, who is the Nara, through the art form, using the means of Shakti or the Shaktopaya to be able to come to the level of Shivam and also gather the collective consciousness of the people around to that level of Shivam. Now, Shivam, touching upon that level, is the Shabdam to the Nada Brahmam, the journey, which is, as I said earlier, the heard to the unheard level. This, the inner rhythm, is called as Spanda, and in Pratyabhigna Hridayam, it is said that when one touches that level of Spanda, the Chitta becomes the Chit or the Chiti. And Abhinavagupta, I'm sure all the scholars around are familiar with the Abhinava Bharati. He also is Tantra Aloka, speaks about how the levels of aesthetic experience, the journey, not only in the outcome of the fruit of the Rasika, but from the point when it started from the poet to the singer, to the dancer, the actor, it passes through the levels of the physical or the sensory, the imaginative level, the emotive level, the cathartic level, and finally the level when the consciousness is expanded to recognize the universal self as Shiva. The reduction in identity with the objects around is what takes you to that self recognition, which is vibration in essence, called as aham idam. It is simply spanda or spurana. Certain pictures, images, while I was trying to depict, have been used here. The Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, the Dharana says that Geetadi Vishaya Swada Samasaukhe Katatmanaha Yoginas Tanmayatveda Mano Rudhes Tadatmata, is the Nada Yogi becomes one with the incomparable joy of song and such objects because of expansion of mind, identity with Samvit Vishranti. Rasovai Saha, as per the Upanishads, one's own form in the dance is the Upadana and the Nimitta, where Amurta becomes Nama, Rupa, and Ananda. We realize the force of Spanda as it manifests in emotions. Gradually, essence surpasses individual identification with the character or the mood towards Chitta Eka Rasa. Now, this Rasa, Spanda, realization of that sound, the sweetness, the bliss that you experience, has overcome the limitations of even those emotions which have a level of difference. So, like they say, the joy of sad sales, or the joy of having shed tears, the joy of having experienced anger or fear. So, the ultimate level where you are in that, in tandem with that resonance, is just one ek chitta. Now, what is it that makes you travel? The prana, the life force, I am, you are, we are, the breath, the intermediary between the body and the mind, that causes these vibrations, vibration, which is sound. Sound which has consented to move from word to poetry to the world of objects. Uchara is the natural characteristic of this called Varna, which expands in stages and uses the vocal cords for speaking and singing. Lord Ganesha, whom we propitiated, we always do that at first because he is the Lord of the prana. The source sets and rests in Muladhara, and there were some seed syllables that we used in that kriti, and that's what has been my effort to add in wherever possible these mystic syllables. And the lower serpent is risen spontaneously at the very outset, or the very objective is to make it rise. And for that, the Muladhara tightened well, balanced well, the Meru Danda kept erect so that the Sattva gets exalted through your journey. Shivam, aware of Shivam through Shakti. And the Tadi Tom Nam is the Mahavakya of this Natya Upanishad. The Nama, I bow down to that thou art. The Upadesha Vakya given by the Guru to the Shishya is that thou art. You are that. That spanda, that nada. That is what is your essence, and that is what is the Mahavakya, which we all venerate in the thala, in the raga of our dance. Abhinav Gupta says that there's one varna in the form of nada, and all the other varnas, the letters, are latent. It is ceaseless, inarticulate, and uncaused. Now, Vijnana Bhairava Tantra tells you we need to just touch upon this so that even an artist is aware of the meditatory level within, which is internalized and then brought out to the forefront. A in the navel contemplated, U in the heart, and M in the mouth. The next is after Omkara, the Bindu, the concentrated energy where the phonemes are in undivided form as light. The next level, the Nirodhini, subtlety of 1/8 of a matra, Anahata Nada, 1/16th vibration. Nada in breath as Srishti and Samhara Bija, the Pradhanam Abhivakti Sthanam, Sa for expiration or creation, and Ha for inspiration of dissolution. And we recite it 21,600 times day and night as the Ajappa Gayatri, Shivoham, the Adi Prana. So this is also an image taken from a performance of that. The Swachandra Tantra says, there is none who sounds it voluntarily, nor can anyone prevent it from sounding. The Adi Tala, the 1/8, 1/16 that we have been speaking about of the Matra, is attributed to the fourth state, the Turiya. From Jagrut, Swapna, Susupti, Turiya is called as Chaturtha. And most of these, when I was presenting, I've used either Muthuswami Dikshita's Kritis or Balamurali Krishna Vidwan, his Varnam or song, or even Jayachamrajendra Vadya. Most of them have been Devi Upasakars. Nadanta, an aspect of energy beyond Nada in Brahmarandra, subtlety is 1/32 of a matra. And after this station, the sense of identification with body totally disappears. Chidambara Nadaraja is in Nadanta Tirumandiram of Tirumolar, says the Chidakasha Tattva, is resting in Nadanta. And in the Padavaranam, as I said before, the Jivatma, every Varanam has a Jivatma, yearning for the Paramatma, and Shringara is taken because it is through that complete surrender of the feeling of love that you are able to experience this oneness. And for that, even the composer becomes a Nayika, takes the Shakti, takes the female form, that of the heroine yearning to unite. That is easier for all of us. In Nataraja himself, the posture proclaims that the left is pointing to the left hand to the left foot. So it is she who opens the doorway. So Shringara is that laya, that absorption, that dissolution in love, where you totally let loose of your egoistic tendencies, your form, your name, and you're trying to get close to that Nada Brahman level of Shiva. Here I've taken the Sri Chakra image because, as I'm sure most of the scholars here would know, this is the same gross, the Laya Yoga, to the subtlest Bindu in Sri Chakra. Laya, Bhavana, as I said earlier, is also in so many of our Nataraja Padams as well as in the Devi Krutis, where the ascent, the Adhyaroha Krama, is depicted. Here I have taken Swatantra Shakti as a theme here, and I have not put the tongue out for aesthetic purpose in this, but the Kali posture also depicts that disillusion when the tongue is out and there is speech is arrested and you are connecting only to that sound that remains. The cycle resumes where Paravak, identity with Prakasha or the eternal light, starts manifesting, evolves through the next, which is Pashyanti, Madhyama, and then the spoken, the heard, the articulated level, where the speech makes subject and object as distinct. Vikhire Sharire Bhava Vaikhari, Ichha, Jnana, Kriya Shaktis at the command of Para have emanated into the world of object. Now, each stage of evolution of sound is abheda in para, bheda bheda, and completely bheda have sthula, sukshma, and para aspects. Like the alapana, it is said as sthula pashyanti, beauty in absence of division by letters, close to para, where the listener is taken to transcendence. Hence, we close our eyes and we hear. There are times when we can't even identify the ragam, but somewhere there's a resonance and you feel, yes, this particular tune I'm aware of, maybe even before this birth. So that is what connects you to the primal sound of the mother, the womb in you. The musical instruments are described as Thula Madhyama level. And for the dancer, the Chaturvita Abhinaya, the Vibhava, Anubhava, Sanchari, suggested sign, the Sattvika Bhavas have to have the unity of stages of sound at every level. Otherwise, the risk is it may just become a loud, pronounced acting without the sattva, without the connection to that sound. Some of the hasta mudras in the choreography that were useful, I have taken certain pictures of them. Like earlier, we also spoke about, Deepti ji spoke about the 3 levels. So similarly, the parapashyanti from the areas from the chakras, the Mula chakra to the Swadhisthana, the Agni Khanda there, the Kamaraja Kuta, where there is the creative force. So they work, one is an arrow down, one is an arrow up. The para is going right from Muladhara to the higher. And this constant cycle within us is nothing but the dance of Shiva and Shakti. So here it is evident. I've written about, I've marked Manipura, Vishuddha Sahasrara, and the various levels of sound. Om Shanti, Dhanyavadam. Now I request Aparna to please share the video presentations and also perform one minute tukda, which I just taught her yesterday, and with the help of our percussionist. Yes, thank you. You can share the video, please. It's about 6 minutes maximum. Yes.
akara ukara makara
देवते परमेश्वरि जगदीश्वरि ललित विमल कमल तझुम किडदग दरिकिडदुम तक्किडदग दरिकिडदुम धिक्किडदग दरिकिडदुम 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 अम्बा देवते परमेश्वरि जगदीश्वरि ललित विमल कमल यर लव श स हळ ಕ್ಷ ಯರ ಲವ ಶ ಸ ಹಳ ಕ್ಷ ಯರ ಲವ ಶ ಸ ಹಳ ಕ್ಷ ತ ಝಂ ತ ಝಂ ತ ಧಿಂಗಿಣ್ಣ ತುಂ
ऊर्ध्वुवः सुवरोमिति दिग्बन्धः प्रपञ्च सृष्ट्यं मुखलास्य कायैः
Thank you for your patient hearing, ladies and gentlemen. We'll conclude just a 1-minute video of a music which was rendered yesterday, and Aparna will perform and finish today's prayer. Complete our presentation, not finish. After seeing Shiva, it was all about opening and finishing. Thank you. Any problem with the music? We can't afford to waste time because so many people are waiting.
பலவிதமாய் உன்னை பாடவும் ஆடவும் பலவிதமாய் உன்னை பாடவும் ஆடவும் பலவிதமாய் உன்னை ஆடவும் நாத பிந்து கல தித்த ஜம் த நாத பிந்து கல த தித்த ஜம் தக தித்த ஜம் த நாத பிந்து கல த தித்த ஜம் த தித்த ஜம் த தித்த ஜம்.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Deepti ji, Trikalaa Gurukulam, Aatmalaya, and all our audience here. Thank you, Chudamani ma'am, our keynote speaker, a forerunner for me academically. Thank you, ma'am. Nandakumar ji, all of you for yesterday's presentation. and for this wonderful audience. So we take it forward and look forward for the next performers and presenters. Thank you. Namaskaram. Namshivaya.
Thank you so much for the wonderful talk and the beautiful dance presentations. Our next artist is Vidwan Shri Anur R. Anantakrishna Sharma, who's going to enlighten us on framing nadais for rare talas. And Vidwan Somashekar Joyce will be accompanying him on Kornakol. Annur R. Anantakrishna Sharma was born in Bangalore to a family of great musicians. He's an eminent percussionist with a vast knowledge of laya, tala, raga, and bhava. His great grandfather Vidwan late Sri Anur Subbaraya Sastri and his grandfather Vidwan late Sri Anur Shamanna were fine veena artists. His father Gana Kala Bhushana Vidwan late Sri Anur S. Ramakrishna was a well-known violinist and an eminent teacher in the Department of Music of Bangalore University. Anur R. Anantakrishna Sharma was initiated to learn Mridangam by Vidwan late Sri R. A. Rajagopal, who was highly accomplished Mridangam and Ghatam artist and a senior staff of All India Radio, Bangalore. Beginning his long concert career from a young age of 15 and a number of significant encounters with other great musicians, Anantakrishna Sharma has created a distinct style of his own. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Minal. Thank you for a wonderful introduction. Hope everyone can hear me. With me today, I have Somashekar Joyce, Vidwan Somashekar Joyce, who has mastered the art of Konakol. And he has totally given up all his very lucrative job and has been in this from last 5 years. And I'm very happy from last 15, more than 15 years, he's with me for all my special projects. Yes. And thanks Trikalaa Gurukulam and Aatmalaya, my very good learned friend Padmaja Suresh, Dr. Padmaja Suresh for this opportunity. And after hearing Geeta ji and of course Padmaja Suresh, one thing I can say, I am not a very well read person in such art. I'm totally depending upon my experience, practical experience. So, is it audible to everyone? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, I only gave the subject of rare talas, Nadai frameworks in rare talas. But finally, when I thought of playing some very tala which is very rare and not heard, because of this online thing, it will not be seen properly and other things. So I selected three talams for that. One is Chatusra Jati Dhruva Talam, which you have, you all know, like 4-2-4-4. That is Chatusra Lagu, Dhrutam, and 2 Lagu. Usually, the Tani or anything is played like in the manner of 4-4, like Nade, Chatusra Nade, and the only the Muktayams will be in this for this talam. So we have practiced a little in a different way to show that 4-2-4-4 always, and also for like Akshara connect, I mean, match like 14, 7, I'm doing like this. On the first, we'll start by Chatursha Jati Dhruva Tala. So you can see this is for 2, this is 4, and once again 4. Normally, din, din, taka, din, din, na, taka, kita, taka, dina, taka, dina, taka, din, taka, dina, dina, kita, taka, dina, taka, dina, taka, dina, taka, din. The shallow comes in the end, but the angas are not highlighted. So what we have done is, we have splitted like this. Din na, atat din na, atat din na, atat din na, atat din na. Kita taka din na, atat din kan kada ke dari ke daga. Din na, atat din na, atat din na, atat din na, din na. Kita taka din na, atat din kita taka diga dari kita taka. So this is the basic idea of it. And now we are going to play some nades, moras and muktaya, which will suit this. This was a small demo how we can frame and how we can plan with this column like 4, 2, 4, 4. And next we are moving on to Sankirna Chapu. Of course, there is no much composition in Sankirna Chapu, but we use Kanda Chapu and Mishra Chapu, but usage of Sankirna Chapu is very less. Of course, we play sometimes Sankirna Gati. That will be Tadikidnak per beat, 9 beats, 9 aksharas. Now we are going to demonstrate the Sankirna Chapu. We play Tishragati in Sankirna Chapu, and the whole Mohara, Muktaya, everything will be in Tishanada. But we will be starting in Chatushragati. Tak, tik, boom. Tak, tik, ta, tak, tik, boom. Tak, tik, ta. It was a short display of Sankirna Chapu. Of course, we can go in that, but time and also the way of putting talam is not so customized for us, so it may be also difficult. And the next we move on to, it's not a rare talam, it's Adi talam only, but we are playing in Mishra-gati. Usually we play a little bit and we do a Nityam and we finish. But now we do some intricate laya patterns in Mishra-gati, in Aditara. Like tak, tak, di, me, tak, ki, ta, tak, tak, di, me, tak, ki, ta, tak, dim, tadim, tak, dim, tadim, tak, dim, tadim, tak, dim, tadim. Dim, tadim, tak, dim, tadim, tak, dim, tadim, tak, dina, tak, ki, ta, tak, dina, tak, ki, ta, tak, dina, tak, ki, ta, tak, dina, tak, ki, ta. So there we come for the first beat, then tak, dina, tak, ki, ta, tak, dina, tak, ki, ta. We start the Tani Avartanam in that speed, and later on we develop and we play a mora. It will be also very short, like 5 minutes. Hope everyone is enjoying it. But we are enjoying it. That was the one that which we planned. And once again, I thank my long-time friend, Dr. and Guru Padmaja Suresh, for organizing this webinar, international webinar. Also, I'd like to thank Gurukulam, Trikalaa Gurukulam, and hope you have enjoyed. And let us all meet once again as soon as possible. Thank you. Namaskaram from me, Nritya Sharma, and our good friend Somashekar Joy.
Thank you for such a mesmerizing performance. We would now take a minute to between this beautiful event that we're having today. We would take a minute to pay and do basically have a minute for grief. Dr. Dipti will speak a few words.
I just didn't want to share this sad news with all of you, because the 2-day seminar and all the sessions that were going on was very happily conducted by the sessionist, and also very happily enjoyed by all those who were connected to this 2-day session event. But I thought I would like to share. I'm very grieved to share this news, the sad demise of Dr. Sunil Kothari, whom we lost, who was ailing from COVID for the last almost 1 month. And he succumbed to a cardiac arrest this morning. And we have lost a great, with him, a great, not only a great critic, but who was also equally knowledgeable about many aspects of Indian dance, performing arts traditions, and who was also known very close to me and my family since I was, I would say, 5 years old. So that was the kind of 5 decades of association I had with him. And we have lost him, and I would like to, if all of you would join me, just a 1-minute silence, praying for his soul to rest in peace. I would like to ask all of you to kindly remain silent for 1 minute, just 1 minute before we resume with our this today's event. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Continuing with today's program, we now have Shri Subramaniam Chidambaram, who will be speaking on Vedic Chandas and recitation techniques. Subramaniam sir hails from a family of Samavedic scholars in the Puthukode village of Palakkad district, Kerala. He is an electrical engineer by qualification and a postgraduate in management from IIM Lucknow. He is currently working as head digitalization with the Siemens Group in India. Subramaniam sir is an MA in Sanskrit, specialization in Vedanta, and diploma in manuscriptology, both from the University of Mumbai. He is currently a visiting faculty of Puranas and Vedanta at the University of Mumbai. He has formerly studied Veda chanting for 8 years. He also conducts classes on Vedanta. Subramaniam sir also hails from a family of music connoisseurs. He is under the tutelage of Geeta Acharya Vidushri Srimati Alamelu Mani. He also hosts a YouTube channel called Subhu's Corner to create greater awareness of pure Sanatana Dharma. Over to you, sir.
Namaskaram. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just share my screen. Let me know if it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Namaskaram to all the dignitaries present here. My heartfelt gratitude and thanks to Dr. Deepti ma'am and Dr. Padmaja ma'am for giving me this opportunity to present amidst such scholarly people. We just heard the beautiful Mridanganadam of Anur sir. So what I'm going to be presenting, I won't be taking too much time because this topic is quite vast, but we cannot do justice to it how much ever the time is given. So I will try to introduce the esteemed panel here, the esteemed audience here, to the topic of Vedic Chandas and recitation techniques. Many of you might already be knowing about this, but this is just my humble effort to just put in front of you this great treasure that we have. Over yesterday and today, we have been hearing to so many enlightening sessions on music and dance, also related to sculpture, related to Tala Pramana, Kala, etc. Let's go back to the everything. In our Sanatana Dharma, is called Vaidika Dharma. So everything begins from the Vedas. The Vedas are the source of all the Shastras, all the Kalas, everything that we have in our tradition. So if you go to the Vedas, you have the Vedas as Brihat, a huge corpus of knowledge. which Bhagavan Vedavyasa beautifully categorized into different sections and gave it to us. To understand these Vedas, because over a period of time, those rishis and munis and those people who did upasana of the Vedas, that upasana was lost with the flowing of time. And that is why we needed Vedangas. We needed supplementary tools to understand the Vedas. So the Vedas, the eternal Apaurushaya, to understand the Vedas came the Vedas. And these Vedangas are 6 in number. You have the Shiksha, the Vyakarana, the Nirukta, the Chandas, the Jyotisha, and Kalpa. Very briefly, Dr. Nandakumar sir already touched upon this in his presentation yesterday. Among these, the Vedangas that are very close to the topic that we are going to be discussing are actually two, Shiksha and Chandas. Shiksha speaks about the phonetics, the phonology, how to utter the alphabet, the sound, which of course is not going to be my focus for the presentation today. The other is Chandas. What is the relevance of Chandas and what do you mean by Chandas? Every Vedic mantra, rik or verse, has got a rishi, a seer. The Darshanath Rishi, the one who saw the Vedic mantra, is the rishi who saw it and gave it to us. That mantra is on a particular devata. So you have the devata. And the mantra is chanted in a particular meter, metrical form. That is the Chandas. So every Vedic ruch or rik has got a rishi, the one who saw it, the devata on whom that rik is, and the meter in which it was chanted, the meter in which it was revealed. So Chandas, there is where originates the Kala Pramana, the Tala, and everything from the Vedas itself, given to us by the Supreme Being. And over a period of time, you also had the Prayoga. Where is this mantra to be used? In olden days, they already knew it. The Vedic seers knew it. But with the passage of time, when things started getting degenerated and people were no more performing yajna yagas, the prayoga of the mantra also became important. In which context was this mantra being used? So even today, if you read any commentary on the Vedic mantras, you will find the mention of, and Sayanacharya beautifully describes for each Vedic mantra, he gives a rishi, he gives a devata, he gives the chandas, and he gives a prayoga, in which yajna yaga it was used. So this is the origination of chandas, or the meter in which the mantra was chanted or revealed. This we saw yesterday very briefly during the presentation of Nandakumar sir. If you take the Veda Purusha, the Vedangas, the different angas of the Veda Purusha, the legs are the Chandas. The Vedas are moving. The movement of the Vedic mantra is the Chandas. And then you have the other Vedangas like Jyotisha, which represents the eyes. Hastau Kalpaha, the Kalpas represent the hands. Niruktam represents the ears, and so on. Now, what is the etymology of Chandas? What is the meaning of the word Chandas? If you look at Amarakosha, it will say Chandate iti adehe cha. Chandate, that which gladdens. There is also a meaning that which shines, which is bright. So that which gladdens Devata, when it is chanted in that particular meter, that gladdens the Devata, that is Chandas. In fact, the Chandas is the means the meter, but Vedas are themselves called as Chandas because they are in metrical form, because they are completely in metrical form, and they are the primeval literature of humankind. That is why the Vedas are themselves referred to in many places as Chandas. The Vedanga, the Chandas Shastra, written by Rishi Pingala, the Bhashyakara says, Chandaha Shabdena Akshara Sankyavat Chandaha Atra Abhidhiyate. So here he comes to the more usable meaning of the word Chandas, Akshara Sankyavat. That is, how many aksharas are there in that particular meter, that is indicated by the term Chanda or Chandas. So Chandas is that which gladdens the Devata when chanted in that particular meter, and it indicates the number of aksharas that are there in that particular metrical form. A quick summary of the Chandas. Most of the Vedic mantras, if you see, they will be divided into 7 Chandas or 7 meters. Gayatri, Ushnaka, Anushtabha, Brihati, Pankti, Trishtubha, Jagati, Chandamsi. These are the 7. Gayatri, Ushnaka, Anushtabha, Brihati, Pankti, Trishtubha, Jagati. These are the most of the Vedic mantras can be categorized into these 7 metrical forms, or they are revealed in these 7 meters or Chandas. So this also gives us the information that Gayatri is actually the name of a Chandas. We say Gayatri Mantram. It is actually the Savitri Mantram. But in the Gayatri Chandas or in the Gayatri meter, there are many more Vedic riks or Vedic verses that are there in the Gayatri meter or Gayatri Chandas. These are the aksharas in one particular verse of that particular meter. So you have Gayatri with 24 letters or 24 aksharas. Then it goes on increasing by a count of 4. So then you have Ushnaka, Anushtabha, Brihati, Pankti, Trishtubha, Jagati going up to 48. Now you might ask, is this all? There are no further permutations, combinations or other variations possible? Yes, definitely possible. Now this numbers, how are they divided? So here what you see is the different variations. So what I just mentioned to you is 24, 28, 32. This is the first. It's called as Arshi or the Rishi Prokta Chandas. You have many more different varieties of this Chandas called Daivi, Asuri, Prajapatya, Yajushi, Archi, Brahmi with varying alphabets or letters that you can see in these meters itself. So what I mentioned to you is the Arshi meter, Arshi Chandas, the Rishi Prokta Chandas, which having these letters. Now, if these aksharas, if it is one akshara less than what is mentioned here, it is given a prefix called as Nichrit Gayatri. So Nichrit Gayatri means 24 minus 1. It will have 23 letters. The popular Savitri mantra is actually in the Nichrit Gayatri meter. If you actually count the number of aksharas, they will be only 23. They won't be 24. So it will become Nichrit because it is 1 letter less. If it is 2 letter less, it becomes Virat. 1 letter more, it becomes Burik. 2 letters more, it becomes Swarat, and so on. So this is how the prefixes get added to these same meters in order to expand them or give the variations among these meters. Now these meters itself, the verses when they are chanted in these meters, they are divided into padas or sections of that rik, sections of that verse. It could be 1 pada, single pada, eka, dvi, tri, chatushpada, uktam, pada. So it could either the entire rik could be a single pada, or it could be 2 padas or 3 padas or 4 padas. These are the variations that you find in the Vedic mantras. So 24, when you take it as Tripada, most popular version of the Gayatri is the Tripada Gayatri, having 3 padas, each pada having 8 aksharas, Ashtakshara. So 8 into 3, that is how the construction, the Savitri mantra construction is also 3 padas or 3 sections of the mantra, each one having 8 aksharas. In Savitri, it is 7, 8 and 8. Similarly, Ushnak 28 becomes 7 into 4, Anushtup becomes 8 into 4. So others mostly you will find they have 4 padas, with each pada having those many aksharas. But again, here combinations are possible. For example, Gayatri itself can have different variations, which we shall see now. Now, how do you remember this? We have this very popular way of nomenclature in our Shastras. If it is 8, it has got 8 aksharas in each pada. So it is called Ayatrya Vasavaha, Ashtavasus. The Vasus are 8 in number. So Ashtakshara. So it is related to that. 11 into 4. 11 is Ekadasha. Ekadasha refers to Rudras. Ekadasha Rudras. So Trishtubo Rudraha. These are all sutras, the Pingala sutras that you find in the Vedanga Chandas. Jagatya Adityaha, 12 aksharas. So 12 Adityaha, Dvadasha Adityaha. So these nomenclatures are given even in the music. In our Melakarta system, you have this Indu Chakra, Agni Chakra. So these indicate what? It is only one Indu. So it is the first chakra. Netra means there are 2 netras. So it is the second chakra and so on. So the same thing applies here. That is why you find in the Vedic nomenclature as well. So it is taken from the Vedic nomenclature itself. Now this 8 into 3 itself can be combined as 6 into 4 also, like the other combinations, because it's easier. 6 into 4, 7 into 4, 8 into 4. So the 4 remains constant and it just keeps increasing from 6 to 12. That also is possible. That variation also exists. Adyam Chatushpad Ritubihi. So the 6 is indicated by what? Ritus. The 6 ritus or seasons. So if it becomes Chatushpad Gayatri instead of Tripada, if there are 4 padas, it is referred to in the term of ritus. Now, we said that this gladdens the Devata. So the Chandas Shastra itself says that each of the Chandas is related to a particular Devata. That is, a Devata has got a special liking to that particular Chandas. Because we must remember one thing, in the Vedas, not like what we know of Devata today. The Vedas, mantradishtitaha devataha. All the devatas which are worshipped or which you see, the Vedic deities, are all mantradishtitaha. They are all present in the mantras, in the form of mantras only. So mantra is that ultimate, it's at most importance. Only when you chant the mantra, the devata manifests itself. So the chanting of the mantra is most important, the right way. That is why you have the Vedangas. You have a Shiksha to tell you how to chant. You have the Nirukta to tell you what is the etymology of what you're chanting. You have the Vyakarana to tell you you're chanting in a proper grammatical way. You have the Chandas to tell you you're chanting in the proper meter. You have Jyotisha to tell you you're chanting at the proper time. You have the Kalpa to tell you you're chanting in the proper sacrifice. So all these Vedangas are to help you chant that mantra in the best way and to get the best benefit out of it. So each of these Chandas is related to a particular Devata. Agnihi. So it is in the same order of the Chandas itself. So Agni relates to Gayatri. So Gayatri Chandas is more related with Devata Agni. Savita Ushnaka, Soma Anushtup, Brihaspati Brihati, and so on. Going up to Jagati Vishwe Deva, Devataha. So this is a relationship with the Devatas. There is also a relationship with the Varnas. The Chanda Shastra of Pingala speaks about relationship of the Chandas with the Varnas, colors. With the Swaras, the Sapta Swaras, they relate the Sapta Swaras with the Chandas and so on. I'm not going into those details now. But this was just to give you an overview that this is where the metrical form originated in our Vedic literature, in our Vedas. Vedas gave it to us in the first form of the meter, the Chandas. And then, of course, you have had an extensive elaboration of the meter, the Tala Pramana and other things which came in later Shastras. Now I'm going to be demonstrating something to you. Now before that, we said that, so the mantras, mantradishtitaha devataha, so the mantras are the most important. Now as you might also know, the script, the written script came much, much later. The Brahmi script we speak about during the time of Ashoka or during that period of time in some BC, but the Vedas are eternal. So how are they preserved? Not through any written medium, through oral medium, Maukhika Parampara, oral tradition. Now, naturally, when you're having oral tradition, there are bound to be errors, because how the teacher is chanting and how the disciple is receiving it creates all the difference. 10 disciples in a class will understand the same Sangati 10 different ways. Those who are in music will very much understand this, and they will reproduce it in many more ways, suiting their voice quality, suiting their understanding of that Sangati, and so on. So what to speak of the Vedas with so many swaras, so many variations, and so many riks. So what was the way to preserve this? That is where we had a beautiful technique of preservation of this. In the modern times, we can call it data encryption, but more research has to be done in this area of how this data or how this information was preserved using these techniques. So there were a set of techniques that were done, that were there in place to preserve this Vedic verses. These are the Vedic recitation techniques. This is what I'm going to be demonstrating now. Now you have a very popular rik in the Jagati meter. All of you would have heard this. This is from the Rigveda, the second mandala of the Rigveda. Ganana antva ganapadigum havamahe kavim kavinam upamashravastamam jyeshtarajam brahmanam brahmanaspada anashrinvannotibhissi dasadanam. On Brahmanaspati, the Devata Brahmanaspati. Later on, which is a separate topic by itself, how the Brahmanaspati or the Devata described here became associated with Ganapati in later times. That's a separate topic. But this is the rik in Jagati meter. So you'll have the 48 aksharas with 4 padas in 12 aksharas each. Ganana tva ganapatim hava mahe. That there ends the first pada. 12 aksharas. Kavim kavinam upamashravastamam. Second pada. Jyeshtarajam brahmanam brahmanaspata spata. There. Anashrinvannotibhissi dasadanam. From Anashrinvan, the final pada. So each of 12 aksharas. The Laghu Guru there doesn't matter for the Chandas. That comes in the Vritta later on. How within those 12 aksharas itself, the combination of the Laghu and the Guru can create different metrical patterns. That is not the Chandas. The Chandas will remain Jagati. Whatever those patterns are, it will still remain Jagati. Or it will still remain that particular meter. Now this is the rik. Now this has to be preserved. So how did they go about doing it? So firstly, these recitation techniques are totally 10 in number. You have 2 prakriti or natural ways of recitation and 8 vikriti or unnatural ways of recitation. Unnatural in the sense, different ways of recitation, not a very straightforward way of recitation. So 2 natural or straightforward ways and 8 unnatural or different ways of recitation. So these are the 10 ways of Vedic recitation. Now, this is called the Samhita Pata. What I just chanted now is the Samhita. It is part of the Rigveda Samhita. Now what happens is, this Samhita is broken into individual words. Ganana tva ganapatim havamahe kavim kavina upamashravastamam jyeshtarajam brahmanam brahmanaha pate. This is how the verse gets broken down into padas. So it is called as padapatha because it is broken down into individual words, padas. So it is a very straightforward, it is a prakriti technique. Now, there is joining of the two words, which is also straightforward way, but you don't chant 1-1, you chant 2-2 together. Ganana antva, the first and the second. Tva ganapatim, the second and the third. Ganapati gum havamahe, havamahe kavim, kavim kavinam, kavinam upamashravastamam, and so on. This is called the krama patha. That is, it's going by krama. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, your joining of the words. Why is this important? It's important because you have sandhi, rules of conjunction in language. So if you're joining 2 words, how do they join to give you the final that you need to know? So that you'll come to know, the student will understand, because the student is still, he's learning the Vedas. So he will understand those conjunction of the 2 aksharas, the vowels, the consonants, how do they join to give you that respective swara. All this he will come to know when he is reading the krama patha. So it is also to make the student understand the grammatical rules, the conjunction rules, and how they are produced in the form of sound. This is the Kramapatha. Now, the Vikriti techniques that I told. So Padapatha and Kramapatha are the Prakriti techniques, the natural, straightforward way of chanting. Vikriti techniques are not straightforward. They will go up and down, back and forth. Jata, Mala, Shikha, Rekha, Dvaja, Danda, Ratha, Ghana. These are the 8 forms of Vikriti techniques, or going back and forth. Iti ashta Vikritayaha proktaha krama purva maharshibihi. These are all verses from the Shiksha texts. Now, the below part we already saw, right? So Gananam Tva Ganapatim, which is there in the Samhita Pata, we split into 2 parts, then we joined these together in the Kramapatha, etc. Now we will go to something called as Ghanapatha, which is the ultimate or the final form of this 8. I'll demonstrate the Ghanapatha. How is the pattern here? I'll first explain, and then I will chant the whole Rik in the Ghanapatha. Here 1 to 2 is fine. Then 2 to 1, it again comes back. Then 1 to 2 to 3, the third is joined. Then 3 to 2 to 1. Then again 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. This kind of a combination. So the same that if I just take those 3 words, Ganana Antva Ganapatim, this is all the words are there in the Samhita Patha. Now how much does it become in Ghanapatha? See. Ganana Antva Tva Ganana Anganana Antva Ganapatim Ganapatim Tva Ganana Anganana Antva Ganapatim goes up to here. So you will see 1, 2 Gananam Tva Tva Gananam 2, 1 Ganana Antva Ganapatim 1, 2, 3 Ganapatim Tva Gananam 3, 2, 1 Ganana Antva Ganapatim 1, 2, 3. This way it goes on expanding. So now I will just chant this whole Rik in this meter, in this recitation technique. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Ganana Antva Tva Ganana Anganana Antva Ganapatim Ganapatim Tva Ganana Anganana Antva Ganapatim Tva Ganapatim Ganapatim Tva Tva Ganapatikum Havamahe Havamahe Ganapatim Tva Tva Ganapatikum Havamahe Ganapatikum Havamahe Havamahe Ganapatikum Ganapatikum Havamahe Kavim Kavikum Havamahe Ganapatim Ganapatikum Havamahe Kavim Ganapatimiti Ganapatim. This is the splitting of the samasa. Ganapatim iti Ganapatim. This will be there even the Kramapatha. So it is not just joining, it is also telling the student that Ganapati, this word is not just one word. Gananam patihi, Ganapatihi. That samasa is explained as Ganapati miti Ganapatim. Ganapati iti Ganapatim. Gananam patihi. So it is splitting that and telling it. So it's also giving the samasa rules, everything within the chanting. I proceed. Havamahe kavim kavigum havamahe havamahe kavim kavinam kavinam kavigum havamahe havamahe kavim kavinam kavim kavinam kavinam kavim kavim kavinam upamashravastamam upamashravastamam kavinam kavim kavim kavinam upamashravastamam Kavinam upamashravastamam upamashravastamam kavinam kavinam upamashravastamam upamashravastamamityupamashravah tamam upamashravastamam upamashrava iti upamashravastavaha tamam. It is again splitting and showing. Jeshtarajam brahmanam brahmanan jeshtarajam jeshtarajam brahmanam brahmano brahmano brahmanan jeshtarajam jeshtarajam brahmanam brahmanah Jeshtarajamiti Jeshtarajam. Jeshtarajam is a compound word. So Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmano Brahmano Brahmanam Brahmanam Brahmanaspade Pade Brahmano Brahmanam Brahmanam Brahmanaspade Brahmanaspade Pade Brahmano Brahmanaspada Apade Brahmano Brahmanaspada A Pada Apade Pada Anona Apade Pada Anaha Anona Ana Shrinvan Shrinvan Ana Shrinvan Nashrinvan Shrinvanno Nashrinvannoti Biroti Bishrinvanno Nashrinvannoti Bihi Shrinvan Noti Biroti Bishrinvan Shrinvannoti Bisida Sidoti Bishrinvan Shrinvannoti Bisida Oti Bisida Sidoti Biroti Bisida Sadanagum Sadanagum Sidoti Biroti Bisida Sadanam Uti Birityuti Bihi Sida sadana gum sida sida sadanam sadanamiti sadanam. The entire thing, the entire rig is here. So uti bihi, jeshta rajam, splits and shows. So this is a beautiful technique. You would have heard Ghanapati. Certain priests are called Ghanapatis. They would have learned up to the Ghana of each of the of most of the Vedic mantras. Now, this kind of a combination research has to be done to say how this preserves the swaras of the associated with that pada, the padas itself, so that even if you try to modulate here and there, still the form, the Samhita pata, original verse can be retrieved back from the various other recitation techniques. And also it's very beautiful to hear when you hear the real Vedic scholars chant this long passages of Veda in this form of recitation. It's absolutely amritam, immortal nectar to the ears. So this is where I end my presentation. Any questions, we can take it towards the end of the session. Namaskaram.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an enlightening talk today. We move on to our next artist for today is Vidushi Monisha Nayak, and her topic for today is Tala Akriti, the pulse of Kathak. Monisha Nayak is an accomplished Kathak performer of the Jaipur Gharana who has dedicated herself in perfecting her art form. Her excellent command of rhythm as well as her natural flair for profound expressions mark her performance, acclaimed by connoisseurs. She has been honored with National Award Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar of Sangeet Natak Academy and Sanskriti Kalakriti Fellowship for research in Kathak choreography. A disciple of Guru Sri Rajendra Gangani, Monisha Nayak has performed widely in major festivals in India and abroad, like Khajurao, Nishagandhi, Malhar Tarpan, Taj Mahotsav, and also at festivals at Europe, UK, USA, and others. As an empaneled artist of ICCR, her choreographic work includes Spectrum, Nartan, Raga Chitra, and various compositions of legendary poets. Monisha Nayak teaches at Gandharva Mahavidyalaya and at her institution, Khanak Institute of Performing Arts, New Delhi and in Trivandrum. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Minalji. I'll just check the share screen once. Can you please enable the share screen?
You should be able to share.
Yeah, it's saying you cannot start screen share while the other participant share.
Let me see.
Okay, that's working. Thank you. Namaskar. A warm welcome to all the viewers, scholars, teachers, and students present here today. Yesterday and today it was a very informative session, and it's my pleasure to be part of this wonderful event. I will begin my presentation with a prayer to Lord Shiva. Angikam bhuvanam yasya vachikam sarvavangmayam aharyam chandrataradi tam numah satvikam shivam. The first cosmic sounds and divine rhythm was born in the womb of Damru, in the hands of Lord Shiva. Rhythm or tala is made of two parts. Ta meaning Tandava, the dance performed by Lord Shiva, and La meaning Lasya, the dance performed by Goddess Parvati. It is said that Shruti Mata and Laya Pita, hence Shruti and Laya are the parents of good music. And rhythm is important to give balance to any kind of music. Laya is a word which encompasses all aspects of rhythm, while Tala is a system evolved to measure Laya. A good grip on Laya is very essential for dancers. And in the case of Kathak, the North Indian classical dance, it is very important because Kathak is of all the classical dance styles of the country, preeminently the one which renders thala or the rhythmic aspect as a central focus in its repertoire. And that is why the thala or the rhythm is the pulse of Kathak. Now, what is rhythm? The rhythm may also refer to visual presentation as timed movement through space or the timing of musical sounds and silences that occur over time, or the steps of a dance or the meter of a spoken language and poetry. Here I'll talk about the three primary types of rhythm we often use. The first one, regular rhythm. It occurs when the intervals between the elements or the elements themselves are similar in size or length. To add more interest, we can vary the interval, the space, which changes the pace of the rhythm. For example, the regular rhythm of a day. The sun rises and sets during the time cycle of 12 months, the Ritu Chakra, the seasons happen, and with that, the pace changes. In the summers, the days gets longer, the nights shorter. During the winter, the days gets shorter, the nights longer. And this change in pace gives it a very interesting outlook. In Kathak, the Layakari is a regular rhythm, a very good example of regular rhythm. The syllables ta, the, tat, a, the, tat. In the time cycle of teen tala, 16 beats, where from the 1 to 16, the first beat is very important, which is called as the sama, from where we start and we end also. The space between the syllables keeps on decreasing, and we do the speeds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and reach the climax. I'll give an example of Layakari through recitation. Padhan. Ta, the, ta, te, a, the, ta, te, ta, ta, a, ta, ta, a, ta, a, ta, So let's see an example of this Layakari, how we present through our footwork in Kathak. Presenting Layakari in Teen Tal Drut Laya. regular rhythm. The next one is a flowing rhythm. It occurs when the elements or intervals are organic, means the organic and the natural patterns are used to create a feeling of movement. Typically, the element is unique, though similar over each interval. For example, the beautiful thousand-eye peacock feathers. Even though they are in different shapes and shades, but they are naturally positioned in such a way that when we see them together, they create a rhythm of natural movement. Like the Ladi Bols in Kathak, which is a very wonderful example. The syllables are takita, dhikita, ghina. There will be variations, and but the flow of the rhythm is so beautiful. I'll recite it. Takita dhikita ghina 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 takita dhikita takita dhikita ghina ghina takita dhikita takita ghina ghina takita dhikita takita dhikita takita dhikita takita dhikita ghina 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 takita dhikita takita takita dhikita takita dhikita ghina 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 takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita ghina takita ghina takita takita dhikita ghina ghina takita dhikita takita ghina ghina takita dhikita takita dhikita ghina ghina takita dhikita takita ghina ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita dha takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina ghina takita dhikita ghina takita ghina takita dhikita dha takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita ghina takita dhikita dha. And the third type is progressive rhythm, which is very interesting. It occurs when a sequence of forms or shapes are shown through a progression of steps. Here the elements repeat over an interval, but with more variations and generating different emotions too. Now we do two types of these progressive rhythm. The first one is with meaningful syllables. For example, like the Kavit, which is a poetic composition set to Tala. The meaning is interpreted through the gestures, but the feet mark the laya. The abhinay is evident in these compositions, but it is classed under the Nritya only because the rhythm is predominant in it. I'll present one Kaliya Daman Kavit. Dhadin dinda dhadin dinda dhadin dinda dhadin pam pam pagadhar fun fun funny par bina 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 tikar tenavela bhavar bhor kalindar garjat मीण मनोहर छवि अति निरखत देव विमान पुष्प नभ बरसत कृष्ण करत तत थे तत थे तत थे. So with the words, with the meaning and the flow, we can understand the structure of the story. The second type in this progressive rhythm we use, that is with the abstract syllables. And that is the most challenging and interesting part also. Because like when we compose music for a choreography, we need to present the characters, the moods, the emotions, the situation. So how to convert the rhythmic structure into that emotion is very interesting. So we can use the higher and lower pitch or the heavier and softer syllables and create. For example, we can take a rhythmic cycle of 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4, and with the same syllables, with the change of the weight of the sound, how we can show two characters. First, the asura, the demon. Dha din ta tite kata gadi gane dha din ta tite kata gadi gane dha din ta tite kata gadi gane. The same rhythmic structure for the devta, for the gods. Tha din ta ta tin ta ta tin ta tin ta ta tin ta ta tin ta tin ta ta tin ta ta tin ta tin ta da din da da din. Now, this is so interesting. One piece which is a very beautiful, this is my favorite piece of Kathak repertoire, that is called Gad Bhava. where without the help of any words or lyrics or poems or any song, only based on these rhythmic structures, we create story. Because the saying storyline, this is the soul of Kathak, the art of storytelling. And here you can see the whole story is interpreted through the dance syllables only. So I'll be presenting one Gadbhava here. It is the Kurma avatar. Kurma avatara is one of the 10 avatars of the Hindu gods, Vishnu. The gods and the asuras cooperated in the journey to obtain Amrita, the elixir of immortality. The great serpent Vasuki offered himself as a rope, and Mount Mandara was used as a churning stick. But as churning was proceeding, the mountain was sinking, and then Lord Vishnu took the form of the turtle Kurma and kept the mountain afloat. So let's see how this progressive rhythm is applicable and in Kathak in Gadbhava. Presenting Kurma Avtara Gadbhava.
Kita taka tere kita taka taka tere kita dah din tak titi kat taka tere kata kati kita dah din titi kat taka tere kata kati kita dah din tak titi kat taka tere kata kati kita dah din tak titi kat taka tere kata kati kita dah titi kata kati kita dah titi kata kati kita dah din ta tin tikerda ta tin tikerda tin ta tin tikerda ta tin tikerda din ta tin tikerda ta tin tikerda tin ta tin takati 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 tat tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi ketika 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 tat 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 tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tadi ketika tat tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi neda 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 tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi ketika neda 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 tadi ketika tadi ketika tadi ketika ketika de ge na he da te da.
So this was Kurma Avatara Gadbhava. The history of any dance form play a very important and relevant role in the development of its repertoire. For Kathak, it was the Mughal era. During this period, under the greatest ruler of the Mughal dynasty, Akbar the Great, a unique style of Mughal miniature painting developed and thrived. Now, this painting, why I'm mentioning painting here, painting and dance share similar principles such as pattern, rhythm, balance, and emphasis. Let's see the influence of this allied arts in Kathak. These miniature paintings are characterized by attention to small details, geometrical and intricate patterns, lush tones and colors, epic subject matter, strong linear 2 and 3 dimensional perspective, great energy, and a romantic portrayal of nature. These characteristics can be observed in all North Indian art forms of that time, including Kathak. Kathak also developed as a linear dance form as opposed to other Indian classical dance styles. The modern system of Kathak, in which more of intricate time measurements are shown, is obviously the product of this Indo Persian cultural fusion. There are doubles, 4 times, 8 times, and more speed with every kind of fractional measurements, like we see in these geometrical patterns. Now, these geometric designs have a lot of resemblance with our yati in music, which are various syllabic patterns when written create geometric shape. For example, the samayati. When all the syllables are equal in number for each akshara as its gati, then it is called samayati. For example, I will recite teen tal theta bols in teen tal madhyalay. Dha, din, din, dha, din, dha, tin, ta, din, dha. You can see the similarity between the Samayati and this beautiful design. In this pattern, the design, the coloring, the spacing is equally distributed, just like the Samayati. Another beautiful structure we can say is a Srotavahayaka Yati, where the syllables are arranged in such a manner that it resembles the flow of river, the river origin and its broader course. So it is short at the beginning and gradually becomes broader at the end, just like this image. The tip is sharp and slowly it's spreading towards right and left side in the image in the structure of a Srota Vahayaka Yati. In terms of notations, we can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and with the syllables, we can create the structure ta dha takite takite tigdha digdigi tigdha digdigi taka takite taka takite taka takite taka takite. Then there is one yati, which is my most favorite, mridanga yati. The syllables are arranged in such a way that it takes the shape of mridangam, smaller at one end, broader in the middle, and longer towards the other end. So the structure, the combination can be 4, 8, 12, 12, 8, 4. We do a lot of tihais of Mridanga Yati in Kathak. I'll recite one. Da-din, din-da, da-din, din-da, da-din, din-da, da-din. Ta-di-di-da, thay, ta-thay. Ta-di-di-da, adi-di-da, thay, ta-thay. Ta-di-di-da, adi-di-da, ta-di-di-da, thay, ta-thay. Ta-di-di-da, adi-di-da, ta-di-di-da, thay, ta-thay. Ta-di-di-da, adi-di-da, thay, ta-thay. Ta-di-di-da, thay, ta-thay. Infinite geometry is seen in cosmos. Everything in universe is deciphered in geometry like astronomy, astrology and so on. Both Prakriti and Purush are aligned in geometry. The beauty of these geometrical patterns is an audio-visual treat for artists and the audiences. Understanding them in greater details will enhance one's skill and of course, it will take you to the journey of unknown terrain for more discoveries. These are my few observations of Tala and various Akriti or shapes interpreted in Katha. Now, before concluding my presentation, I'd like to give a simple task to the students who are the part of this webinar. We can take a rhythm cycle of 5. Taka, ta, kita, taka, ta, kita, taka, ta, kita, taka, ta, kita. And then you can create two emotions, comical, the hasyarasa, the anger, rodra, two contrasts, and explore how it comes out. And also one more thing you can do, like you have learned so many beautiful compositions like Tillana, Tarana. You can think about the geometrical patterns in it and you will enjoy the process. And do share with me, it will be very nice to go through this. With these words, I conclude my today's presentation. I express my heartiest gratitude to Dr. Deepti Omchiri Bhallaji, Trikalaa Gurukulam, and Dr. Padmajaji Aatmalaya, Bangalore, for inviting me to participate in this webinar. Best wishes and thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Monishaji. It was a wonderful presentation. Thank you to all the artists who have spoken or performed today. We will now have a valedictory address by Dr. Sumati Krishnan. Dr. Sumati Krishnan is a renowned Carnatic vocalist, a musicologist, and researcher. She is one of the secretaries of the Music Academy, Madras. She is the director of the Research Center at the Music Academy and the convener of the Advanced School of Carnatic Music. A senior disciple of Srimati R. Vedavali, Sumati combines her performance with talks on music. She recently gave a talk at the South Asia Center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She participated in Bangalore International Center web streaming on intercultural encounters in music as one of the panelists. Dr. Sumati Krishnan, would you like to say a few words?
My video has been disabled. The host has to get the video on, please.
It shows here that your video is on.
Now it's okay.
Yeah.
Now it's okay. Yeah. Namaskaram to all the distinguished panelists. Can you see me, or yeah, is this better? Yeah. My namaskarams to the distinguished panelists who've participated in the webinar over the last 2 days. And I thank Trikalaa Gurukulam, Dr. Dipti Omcheri Bhalla, and Aatmalaya, Dr. Padmaja Suresh, for inviting me to give the valedictory address. I want to start with a shloka from the Sangeeta Ratnakara. Nanadena vina geetam, nanadena vina swaraha, nanadena vina nrittam, tasman nadatmakam jagat. It's all about nada, the sound that's produced with a combination of air and fire. Actually, my guru used to say that when you sing or when you have a concert, unless that nada envelops the entire space, there will be no impact on the audience. And what I felt over these 2 days is all the presenters, eminent scholars, in their own respective fields, they made such wonderful presentations that nada is continuing to envelop the space for each one of us, wherever we may be, whether it's Chennai, Delhi, or any part of the world. There was a really wide range of topics, including Vedic Chandas, architecture, music, dance, tada, and various dance forms. And I just thought I would run through a little of each one of them before I come to what I want to say. And I will go in reverse order. Vidushi Monisha, who presented this beautiful talk on Akriti, on the pulse of Kathak, expressed beautifully the way the rhythm patterns are. In fact, it brought to me a kind of connection with what the previous speaker, Subramaniam Chidambaram, had to say when he spoke about combination of syllables for memory techniques. And that very same kind of combination of syllables was prevalent in these rhythm patterns as well. And also, it was wonderful to see the parallel that she drew from paintings to Kathak, the kind of multiple lines, the multiple movements, everything together. Subramaniam Chidambaram had brought us into a space which we normally don't understand so much. We hear Vedic chanting, we hear mantras being spoken, and yet it remains quite distant to us. So he brought it out very, very simply. In fact, we could see that he was a teacher to the core. He broke it down into simpler pieces so that it was absolutely clear to each one of us how these mantras or the way riks are recited. And what is interesting is this combination, especially in Dhanapatam, this 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, or whatever combination, it ensures a memory process. See, in those days, since there was no writing of things, it was either in counting in the fingers, there are certain movements, or it's repeating the verses in such a way that you can never forget what you have learned. It remains forever etched in the memory. This reminds me of a story that the Mysore Vasudevacharya said in his Nan Kanda Kalavidaru, where he says when he first went to Patnam Subramaniya, he was taught a Varnam in Begada and Marachit Lundedi. And he says for 6 months he made him learn just this varnam so that it was so embedded in his mind he could sing it backwards or forwards. So that is this learning process and training in memory. People have to understand or do research in how our documentation was of this orality, the oral tradition that we have, and how people remembered so much of information in their little heads. Vidwan Anur Anantakrishna Sharma presented beautifully the different nades. And, even while he was speaking, the person was keeping the tala. This reminded me of how very often we keep the shruti on, no matter what. So tala is something which is continuously going on in their mind. That pattern, the rhythm, and the variations were just amazing. Dr. Padmaja showed the metaphysical side aspects of choreography in Bharatanatyam. Shiva and Shakti, it was just amazing. And I missed Dr. Deepti's moods because I was in a committee meeting. Unfortunately, I would have loved to be in there. And yesterday, it was interesting. Dr. David Claman spoke about rubato, where the acceleration and slowing down was within a prescribed time measure. This I found very interesting. It was not in geometric progression, but uneven movements, but yet within a time measure. That was very, very interesting. The other point that he mentioned is that rubato was not notated. This again was interesting because in Western music, where they have a system of, notating everything, this rubato itself was not notated. Dr. Chudamani, I have met her before at the CP Center as well, and she is a very, very scholarly and erudite person. She spoke about talamana and sculpture. Two things that she said stuck in my mind. One was that all art is interlinked, and she said, if you need to know one art, you have to study other arts as well. That was evident when Monisha just spoke about Kathak and painting, two different arts, and yet you can draw from each other so well. So if you want to learn dance, you need to know Shilpa Shastra a little, maybe iconography. The person who does Shilpa Shastra needs to know iconography. The dancer needs to know about music and tala. So it's all about intermixing and understanding the arts. Nothing is watertight. And the other point that she made, which really is very valuable, is that she advised the present generation to look for the roots, to go to the originals, and not look at secondary sources when they are studying on any material. So we have a wealth of material, especially on our arts, dating back to many, many centuries. In fact, our arts are called Shastras. They are a science, Natya Shastra, Shilpa Shastra, or you have Sangeeta Shastra. So for all this, there are texts that have enough and more valuable information. And I think it's a wonderful message and advice that she has given, that we should go back to the originals as far as possible. Dr. Nandakumara elaborated on Matra Kala, meter, tala, chandas. He drew from the Shikshas, as well as he quoted a beautiful verse from the Aumapatim at the end. And Satvik spoke about artificial intelligence. The word artificial itself suggests that it's not real. In fact, I wanted to say here, Ekam Naisargikam Ishwara Nirmitam. That is the voice. There's one thing that is natural, created by God. Even all other instruments are man-made. We created the instruments. Though we say Damaru was born of Shiva and the flute was with the natural bamboo, but still it's not an organ that is part of the body itself. And we had Ranjani Warrior of Trivandrum speak about the various emotions in rhythm. Then the Saralaya sisters spoke about varnams and their rhythmic patterns. She spoke about more recent composers like Lalgudi Jayaraman, Balamurali Krishna, Sri TRS. And as a musician, I want to delve a little, if you will permit me, on the varnams itself.
Ma'am, please, you can definitely elaborate. We're looking forward to your topic of specialization as well. I know you'd already told that you cannot join in the morning, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Both of us were the hosts, so it's okay if you missed out. But the others you have respected.
Thank you, Padmaja. And in fact, when Padmaja invited me, I said, I don't know so much about rhythm. And she said, no, it's you just enjoy the whole session and then speak, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So I just want to add a line to what Saralaya sisters said. They, other than Tana Varnams, Pada Varnams, and Daru Varnams, there are also Varnams called the Chauka Varnams. Chauka, as the term implies, it means slow. So these Varnams are slow in nature, and unlike Tana Varnams where they are syllabic in nature, here it's more like a Raga Alapana where multiple speeds combine, even within a Varnam. So it's like you'll have lines to draw underneath the swaras. So there's a beautiful Varnam of Subbarama Dikshitar in Shuruti Ragam, which is a Chauka Varnam, and with a beautiful Swarakshara in the Charanam. I'll just sing a little to show you. I'm singing the Charanam line and singing this. Neera Dakshini Kamuga Now this is in Rupakatalam, Rendikalai. Padagamari Pamapa Mari Pasani Dani Pa. So this, then the Sahityam goes Patala Dari Rajana Palasa Rasakal Dirapa. And the entire Varnam itself has the feel of a Kriti. So there are Chauka Varnams like this. The other interesting thing about Varnams that I wanted to say is that stress syllables make a very important part in the separation of musical phrases. So they're almost rhythmic in nature is what I feel. So even though you may not have a mridangam or a talam or something, there are various stress syllables that we use when we sing a Varnam. I'm going to sing a couple of lines from a rare Varnam in Mohanam by Pallavi Dorasamy Iyer. This is So I want to draw your attention to the second line. So it's 3-3-3-3. Nelu. That's 5. Apart from stresses, it's also the position of the syllables. If I say Nelu, the lu is coming at the end, it gives a punch. Nelu. If I did Nelu, the effect won't be there. So the positioning of the syllables and the breaking of the phrases, musical phrases, gives it an almost rhythmic feel. Vidushi Monisha also spoke about yati patterns in Kathak. We have similar yati patterns in our Varnams as well. There is this Pankajakshi, which is in Kamboji by Mahavaidyanath Shivan. Ni da ni pa da ni ma pa da ni ga ma pa da ni ri ga ma pa da ni ga ma pa da ni ma pa da ni pa da ni. So that ni da ni pa da ni ma pa da ni ga ma pa da ni ri ga ma pa da ni ga ma pa da ni ma pa da ni pa da ni. It's a Damarayati. Increasing, reducing. And there's a similar Sahityam for this. Maruni Sharamunu Ramuna Varu Saluga Duru Sungavadi Marulu Koni Karagina Dirani Da Nipaidaya Judarani. So we have Yati patterns in many of the Varnams. So the Varnams take combinations of Swara patterns, yatis, and really are an encyclopedia for rhythmic people who revel in rhythm. When I heard all the speakers, one thing came out very, very clear, that whether it's dance, whether it's tala, whether it's recitation, there has to be this sense of proportion. That sense of perfect proportion is there in nature and it's there in the arts. And here, I want to show a comparison between ragas and talas. Ragas are melodic scales, talas are time scales or a measure. And these ragas are based on the Adhara Shajja. The notes are in connection with the Adhara Shajja, where they draw the frequency or the pitch difference is drawn from the Adhara Shajja. There are permutation combinations of the different notes in different ragas. And similarly, in talas, permutation and combination of the sub-units within the time measures. This we saw very beautifully in Sri Anur Sharma, Ananta Krishna Sharma's exposition. There are sub-units and you break it within that. Finally, what I want to bring to your notice is that Kala Pramanam. Apart from Tala, there's something called Kala Pramanam. Certain ragas do not lend themselves to speed no matter what you do. See, for instance, if you take a Sahana raga and you can't really sing it fast. Shri Vatapi Ganapatiye Nil Tiruvadiye Sharanam. You can only sing it slow. Or if you want to sing a Deva Gandhari, Tulasam Mayinta Tulasam, then only will the emotion and the bhava come out. But at the same time, you take a Kuntana Varali, there's no way you can sing it slow. Sa manavahita iha jayati sa ma suguna bharata janani sa manavahita. So you can only sing it fast. So this Kala Pramanam is there even in Tala. And here I want to draw your attention to a Tala called Deshadi Tala, which is kind of extinct. Very few people use it. But in our Gurukulam, Vedvalyama has taught us many songs of Tyagaraja in Deshadi Tala. And you will see that this difference, though the time measure is the same, the feel of speed is different. Giriraja Sutatanaya Sadaya Giriraja Sutatanaya Sadaya Giriraja Suta. That's in Aditala. The same thing if I sing it in Deshadi. Giriraja Sutatanaya Sadaya Giriraja. I'll just start again. Giriraja Sutatanaya Sadaya Giriraja Sutatanaya Sadaya. Then what happens is when there are not so many kriyas, then you feel that the speed is much slower. So many kritis of Tyagaraja are in Deshadi Tala and we can continue to sing them in Deshadi. I think this the title for this seminar is Chidakasha. Chidakasha brings us to Chidambaram. So I just want to take you to Chidambaram a little. And this is one of the 5 elements, and as dancers and scholars, and you will all know about it. There's nothing new that I have to share. But at the same time, I felt that there are certain things about this. I feel if I remember it again, it's nice for everyone. This is where Nataraja performed his cosmic dance. And these 5 elements, Chidambaram is of course Chidakasha, Akasha element. 5 elements are mentioned in the Taittiriya Upanishad based on the number of senses that feel them. So Akasha only has the feeling of Shabda, the sound. Akashad Vayuhu, Shabda and Sparsha. Vayor Agnihi, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupam. Agner Apaha, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupam, Rasam. And finally, Prithvi, where you can hear it, the sound, Shabda, Sparsha, you can touch. Rupam, it has a form. Rasam, you can feel it. And Gandham, you can get the smell. So the organs, sense organs can all feel it. Now, this number 5 is so special for Chidambaram and for Shiva. There are 5 sabhas, which of course you know. Chit Sabha is where he performed the dance, and it has a roof called the Ponnambalam or Kanaka Sabha, which has gold plates. There are 21,600 gold plates. This was referred to by Dr. Padmaja, 21,600 breaths that a human has. That many gold plates with nails, 72,000 nails to hold these, and 72,000 nails represent the nadis in the human body. And these are held by 64 beams, these gold plates, and these 64 beams represent the 64 kalas mentioned in our sutras. So it's all connected. Our kalas, the spiritual, the metaphysical, as well as all the ritualistic things that we have, everything is interconnected. Dikshitar composed songs on the 5 elements and the temples of the 5 elements. So for Akasha, you have Ananda Natana Prakasham. For Vayu, Sri Kalahastisha, which is because it's in Kalahasti. Agni, it's Tiruvannamalai, and that is Arunachalanatham. And for Apa, water, it's Jambu Pate. Jambu is Tiruvanaika near Trichy. And finally, Prithvi Lingam is in Kanchipuram, Chintayama Kandamula Kandam. And in each of these compositions, he includes things like the Sthala Vriksham, the names of the deity, the details of the place, and everything else. Now, Ananda Natana Prakasham is very, very interesting because of a few features that Dikshitar has very subtly included in this. Sri Nandakumar spoke of Shikshas, speaking of 3 kalas, Dhrutam, Madhyama, and Vilambitam. You know, Abhyasate Dhrutam Vrittim, Prayogarthe tu Madhyamam, Shishyanam Upadesharthe, Kuryad Vrittim Vilambitam. So Shiksha speak of the 3 speeds, the 3 kala. Of course, Deeptiji's institution is called Trikala. And these 3 speeds have very, very subtly been incorporated into this song, Ananda Natana Prakasham, in the Anupallavi. Koti, Koti, Sankasham. Koti, Koti, Sankasham. Mukti, Daharakasham. Now this was in the first column, slow, and Daharakasham. Akasham is included here. Deena Jana Samrakshana Chanam. So the second speed. Bhukti Mukti Prada Daharakasham. Deena Jana Samrakshana Chanam. Divya Patanjali Vyaghrapada Darshita Kunchitabja Charanam. Divya Patanjali Vyaghrapada Darshita Kunchitabja Charanam. Panini Sakarkajarmuta. Then it goes to the Swara. So the Anupallavi itself is a combination of the three columns. So unless you really think about it and wonder why has he done this, it's the Trikala that he wanted to include perhaps. And they say, Maranat Mukti Kashyam Jananat Kamalalaye Smaranat Arunachale Darshanam tu Chidakashe or Darshanat Abhrasadasi. So Darshanam, if you just go visit and see Chidambaram once in your lifetime, then you attain Mukti. And what has happened is Trikala and Atmalaya, together with Gurus Diptiji and Padmajaji, have brought Chidakasham in our midst. So we've had a darshanam of the Chidakaram over these 2 days. I wish all of you all the very best. And it was a really wonderful experience to be part of this 2-day webinar. My grateful thanks to all of you. And thanks once again for inviting me to give you this valedictory address. Namaskaram.
Very humbled, ma'am. Very humbled. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Deepti ji, would you like to say a few words before we close our 2-day webinar? While Deepti ji is coming in, Minal, could you just thank each and every presenter from yesterday, reading out their names, please, and thank each and every one.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you to everybody for the wealth of information and knowledge that was shared. I would like to thank each of the scholars and artists and academicians personally. So Dr. Chudamani Nandagopal, Dr. David Clement, and Dr. John MacDonald, Dr. R.S. Nandakumar, Dr. Rajashri Warrior, Mr. Satvik Venkatesh, the Saralaya sisters Kavita and Triveni for performing yesterday. And for day 2, we had Dr. Dityom Cherry Bhalla, Dr. Padmaja Suresh and Aparna Doddamalur, Vidwan Shri Anur Anantakrishna Sharma, and Dr. Shri Subramaniam Chidambaram and Vidushi Monisha Nayak, and the valedictory address by Dr. Sumati Krishnan. Thank you so much, every one of you, for making this event a grand success.
Deepti ji, a word or two from you, please.
I'm sorry, my connectivity comes and goes. I don't know what's happened. I'm only glad that it's come towards the end. So, Padmaja, would you like to? I want to thank all of you for being with us. And I'm so very grateful, I must say, because all of us have so many commitments and so many engagements. and to spare so much of time for just one particular event from 10:30 till almost 2:30 is quite a remarkable patience that all of you have shown. I'm very deeply grateful to all of you. And
A
Patanjali
big
would
round
also
of
like to
applause,
say,
a big round of applause to all of you here who have spared the weekend and joined us in order to have an enriching experience with all of us. And a bigger round of applause also to our four beautiful anchors, very devoted, dedicated students of Mohiniyattam and Bharatanatyam. I read out their names again: Malvika Ajikumar, Rehana Venu, Minal Shah, and Aparna Dodamulur. And they've all been like today, and I think it's close to morning hours for Minal and for Aparna. And they have shown their dedication. And we are proud, myself and Dr. Deepthi, that we can raise students of dance who have that continued passion and they feel at every moment one has to learn. I can see so many comments also for the young gurus like Monisa, and each one of us is celebrating what has been passed on by the gurus. So, Guruve Namaha for all the passion, the love, the continuing dedication to the art with the prayers that Lokam Samastam Sukhino Bhavantu Sanatana Dharma through Nada Yoga, Natya Yoga, Chitakasam. Thank you. Namaskaram.
Thank you.
Uh, thank you all for at least, concluding the year with, this kind of, experience.
That's Chudamani, ma'am. Can you just spotlight ma'am for a minute? Yes.
Yes. Thank you all for giving, the end of the year, what, it is spaced out as the end of the year, the great end, I can say. And it's an experiential one. And I think I thank all of you, and particularly the youngsters, taking so seriously the dance literature. Otherwise, it was only performing, and now they have taken it so seriously because of you people taking them in that path. So I can see a very great future forever.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Disciples.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Namaskar. Namaskar.